Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is 1105, The Height of Folly. The reason I hesitate a little to say this week's chapter is this is going to be posted Friday. The chapter came out Sunday. Usually I do Monday, but I was in LA for the One Piece Nationals. I got a whole bunch of fancy cards, both One Piece and Digimon related. I got, some of these nice participation cards. I actually ranked pretty high myself. Got into the top 512, so I even got some bonus packs. Good for me. So this chapter review is a little late, and I'm actually immediately going to read the next chapter review no less than 24 hours. It just depends on when it drops. So, but I wanted to get my thoughts out before I read the new chapter and had that influenced. Fortunately for me, Oda was merciful to all the North American players out there by making this chapter fairly more of a setup chapter than an actual, crazy events. So, the art for this chapter is Nekomamushi and Duke Dogstrom taste testing Carrot's stew that she's making. I assume there are many, many carrots in this stew. I'm not exactly sure if Carrot eats meat. I know minks do eat meat. It's not like they feel like an extreme kinship to animals and therefore can't eat meat. They're all vegetarians. I do know that they are carnivorous, some of them. So I'm not exactly sure, but I would assume since Duke Dogstrom is eating it too, that cats, I believe, are also carnivores, so I assume the stew has more than just carrots in it. But I'm focusing way too much on stew and should be focusing on today's chapter. The chapter starts off with the Buster call. Everybody panicking, everybody running. Vice Admiral Dahl tells the Kizaru and Saturn, we need to get out of here, and Saturn goes, no. Kizaru and I will stay on the island. Probably to finish the job. And before she can even get another word out, she's like, button. Kizaru just says, go. Now, last couple chapters, Kizaru has been a little wishy-washy on whose side he's on. He even tries to look away as Vegapunk pleads with him. But something that Japanese readers have been pointing out the last few chapters is the way Kizaru speaks, which is, I guess, really hard to translate into English because I didn't really notice a difference, so maybe the Viz translation doesn't really notice a difference either. But it seems Kizaru's speech pattern is a little less flowy, a little less calm. It seems he is pretty rattled about everything going on, and that's the price of uncertain justice. You're uncertain about it, and whether or not it is justice. Regardless, Vegapunk pleads with Saturn to not destroy the island. He's like, hey, you're just after my life. I'm the one that researched the Void Century. Don't take it out on Egghead. Don't Buster call Egghead. If you destroy this island, everything's for naught. There's wanton destruction everywhere, and the scientific research done here will set the world back 100 years. To which Saturn responds with, so? Who cares about progress and research and the centuries that will be put behind, because I, and my compatriots, do not want the Void Century to be researched by any means necessary. I don't care about progress. Which makes sense considering he's been living fat, dumb, and happy for the last 800 years, if the theory of them being immortal is true. Either that, or he just wants the status quo, which was established 800 years ago, to remain such. Vegapunk pleads in a different way, pleading towards his humanity. The sake of humanity itself, the good of the people. And Saturn says, oh, yeah, that reminds me. We noticed there was a vessel fleeing from here with maybe some of your scientists on it. I sent a battleship to go blow that up. Vegapunk's looking on horrified, and he's like, because there could have been a chance that there was a single survivor on there that knew something about the Void Century, so, I just had to be sure. Boy, That sure does sound familiar. When was the last time? Let's see. A buster call was called. There was research on the Void Century. A ship of innocence fled the scene. The ship of said innocence was blown up in order to prevent even the single person that might know something about maybe knowing something about the Void Century. Oh yeah, that was O'Hara. And yeah, that's what he says. He tells him, listen, this is exactly like O'Hara. You flew too close to the sun, you asked questions you shouldn't have, you messed around, and now you're finding out. As Vegapunk is distracting these two with conversation, we got Atlas carrying Kuma, little Bonnie's running with Frankie as they're all making it to the escape pod via vacuum tube. Sanji decides to stay back and help Vegapunk, promising little Bonnie that he's going to save the old man. Yeah. So it's Sanji and Vegapunk versus Saturn. I would say Kizaru, but we'll see what he does in a couple minutes elsewhere, because, man that moves at the speed of light. As Sanji is running to help Vegapunk, though, he contacts Nami, asking for kind of an update on where everyone is, and that's what Nami gives us. So Nami, Edison, Robin, Chopper, and Usopp are all together right now. Robin is still injured. Chopper is, helping her recover. And Nami gives the lowdown on where everybody else is. So currently, we know Frankie is with Bonnie, Kuma, Atlas, escaping. Sanji, off to fight Saturn. We got Zoro, who is still engaged with Rob Lucci. So despite all their banter, Lucci and Zoro have still been fighting each other this whole time. So, yes, Luffy, easy fight. Zoro against Lucci? Apparently not so much. But regardless, Jinbei is off to help him, mostly to help him not get lost on the way back, because, let's face it, Lucci's holding out against Zoro, very impressive. Holding out against Zoro and Jinbei? His odds are extremely slim. So, this is more of a reassurance. As for Brook, he went up to meet with Lilith to make sure the Thousand Sunny gets where it's going, since Vega Force 1 is no longer there to carry it. We cut to, then, Brook with Lilith, and they're standing there. Lilith's got the wheel, and she says, "I must say, Brook, this was a brilliant idea." And Brook's like, "Oh, a compliment from the world's smartest person? That's flattering right there. See, I used my Soul Solid ability to freeze the island clouds, which allow us to slide the ship with no friction at all, or at least bare minimum. So we'll get there lickety-split as we slide down the frozen island clouds." Lilith's standing there, all proud of Brook, and she goes, "Yeah, that's a really good idea. So, where exactly is the stopping mechanism here?" And Brook goes, "You know what? A stopping mechanism would have been a great idea," as the ship heads off towards its doom. I'm sure something will stop it, or they'll hit ocean. Either way, they're getting away, so. Finally, we find the location of our fearless captain, Luffy, who has made it to the replicator. He got to the food replicator. He is now just a giant blob surrounded by Marines. Those Marines are not going to last long, those poor souls. I didn't see a single named character among that group, so Luffy's full. Luffy's going to go gear 5th. Those guys, honestly, a burst of Conqueror's Haki would be enough to deal with that, so that's not a problem. All we know is Luffy's back to full. He's also very far away from the rest of the crew, and we still don't know who the mysterious benefactor was that gave him the food needed to get to more food. I'm still voting on Kizaru just because of how wishy-washy he's been right now, but I do respect the Caribou theory, since Lord knows where that swampy boy is. Meanwhile, in the vacuum tube, as they're heading back up to the Labo phase, unfortunately, Kizaru is there too. He flies up there with his light power and slices the tube, causing everybody into free fall, to which Saturn, taking advantage of that situation, says, "All pacifistas, aim for Kuma!" And all the pacifistas raise up their hands. They all get their lasers ready. I assume their mouth lasers are ready. Their other hand lasers are ready. There's just a shimmer of lights on the ground getting ready to shoot at the big Kuma that's holding his little daughter. Vegapunk has a inner monologue of, "Bonnie, this is actually the worst case scenario. I really did fear this was going to happen. When I heard you became a pirate, the worst possible thing that could happen was a pacifista was sent to catch you, because your father's clones would be shooting at his daughter and not even realize the irony of it. Speaking of irony, Saturn is looking on and monologuing to himself as well of, ha ha, what a fitting end for Bartholomew Kuma, to be destroyed by his own clones. This defensive maneuver just to save his little daughter is truly the height of his folly. Looks at the camera and says, hey, see that? I said the chapter title. I said the thing. The height of his folly. And with that, the chapter begins to come to a close, with a single panel of a destroyed Marine battleship, and a little voiceover saying, we have to warn Admiral Kizaru. We couldn't destroy the escape vessel. Everything's broken. They are heading to Egghead. Who's they? We got so many things going on here. We got a Blackbeard ship that was heading to Egghead Island. We got no clue who that was. We don't know what's going on. I would say not Edward Weevil, because Weevil was captured by Aramaki. There's no way Aramaki would turn to head towards Egghead. It was all the nearest battleships. But Aramaki's an admiral, and they already had an admiral on this, so that's not necessary. That's overkill. Even for a Buster call, that's overkill. Cross Guild's out of the question because they're not captured. Hancock's not captured. Could it be Moria and Perona? They escaped from Hachinosu and probably have been sailing together for a few days. I can't think of anyone. But that's okay. Next chapter comes out for me like tomorrow. So tomorrow, a couple hours. Just depends. So that'll be fun. I'll post that on Monday as usual. I'll go right back to my regularly scheduled One Piece, as well as trying to put a little more focus into other videos too. So yeah, let me know in the comments who you think it is, because that's... I got nothing. I got nothing on this one. There's way too many people anymore in One Piece. So thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.